Okay, it is time to do the My Thoughts for Rainbow Six of the Sieges. This is actually the first time I've seen either of these two. Okay. Now, originally I was waiting until I got pretty decent at this game to actually record my thoughts on it, because I wanted to show that I was pretty good, and that my opinion kind of affects it in some sort of way, as if that gives my opinion more relevance. But nonetheless, that's what I was waiting for. But honestly, because of how little I play this game, I decided that it would be a better idea probably just to do it now instead of later, for reasons unknown. Well, actually, I just kind of explained the reason, so it's not unknown, but nonetheless. So, when it comes to Rainbow Six Siege, there are a lot of things that I really like about it. Such as, I'm a big fan of class systems, so the fact that there are a ton of different classes and everything, and people in every group, that I really like. And then attack and defend in general. But the way they do it makes me really happy, such as whenever they release a guy, there's always a counter or something you can do against it. Such as Glaz and the other guy that I can't think of his name. Let me find him real fast. Right here. Glaz and Jaeger. The two of them, Jaeger counters Glaz super hard because all of Glaz's charges will just be destroyed. All of his charges for his, the cluster charges, they'll be destroyed by Jaeger's, trophy system. And just, things like that really make me happy, such as, exactly what I was saying, how everything has a counter. Because that's kind of what I wish that League of Legends and other companies like that would do, where they actually make sure that when they release a champion, that they can be beaten. And I'm not just saying just counter pick them type deal, but to a higher degree, to where there's other things you can do, because that's also something you can do in here as well. Now, yes, the example I just gave you was counter picking, but in this degree, there is more than just that one. Fuse can also be blocked by other things as well. It's just Glaz is his number one priority when it comes to classes. But then in-game, there is also a ton of other things you can do, such as to prevent Glaz from nuking you. You can actually just don't barricade the doors, have perimeters set up around. That way, he can't just nuke the actual position and get all the kills. You can have a vest and just increase your damage from what's his name, Rook. There are a lot of different things you can do. You can also Thermite can also be prevented from the guy I have, Bandit. He'll place his explosive charge on the wall and it'll just be destroyed. Just things like that. There are small things that one guy can do that will still counter others. Plus, their ability is only one aspect of them, and a lot of skill in general comes into place. Now, skill in general does come into place with other games. I was saying with League of Legends is my example earlier, but a lot of different champions just are way too strong, and I don't think that Riot really thinks about all the items and how they'll work on every single champion, and if they honestly do, then I don't understand how they can release half the things that they get away with, and so on and so forth. But I feel as if this game, they think about all the scenarios. They go, okay, so with these two new guys, they go to her, and then this person's an attacker, so because of this Rook, Finka, she is she buffs other people as her ability, and then that's really it. She can buff herself for other people. But at the same time, someone with but they won't also be able to get the vest from the what's his face. The vest from Rook. What else? She could buff like Zofia. They'll probably think of who she's going to buff, who she's not going to buff. She could buff someone like Zofia, and she can just charge in there with her double barrel launcher. And when it comes to Lion, he'll be able to like track the enemies, and they can pair him up with Dokkaebi and maybe Jackal, and then just have like a full vision type comp. And just things like that, where I believe that they actually think of all the scenarios. But with like Mira, they see her, whatever the heck, her wall, and they're going to be like, this will really be strong against people that have like shields, because you'll be able to like see them from the distance and maybe even break it, causing multiple shoot points, so that, let's say someone with a shield is like targeting one specific door and just kind of blocking it off, but then you break the shield behind them and shoot them from the back, something like that. There are like the more selfish picks, like who I'm over right now, like Blackbeard, who just his ability is purely for him, and same with like Buck from Canada. Where's the group? Here it is. Like Buck, who has the double barrel shotgun, who's more like prioritized with himself. And then there's also just a whole lot of different traps that you can do with this, but then a great, or what I was saying earlier with like her bear traps, and who else has some traps? There's Ella with her traps, and then the last guy, I can't think of his name. Here, Legion. Like each one of them have a variety of different traps that they can put with Defender, but then there are also counters to this, such as the EMP guy right here, Thatcher, I believe his name is. Yep, Thatcher. And then you even have like Smoke, who, well, Smoke's actually the Defender, so never mind with that. Then Ash, her explosives can destroy all these. You can have someone that has a shield, such as Montagne, and just walk in there, and then the traps will still affect him, but it will just be like he won't be able to get shot at the same time. You can have just like a bum rushing comp and have this guy in here, Blitz, and then you can also have IQ. Yeah, her name is IQ, who can also see all the different technology and traps behind everything. There's just a whole lot of counterplay. And same with, you wouldn't actually believe it, or you wouldn't think of it right away, but Capito also is pretty good with traps, because his fire arrows can set them ablaze, because they're a pretty AoE, causing them to explode. And then there are all the different attachments and everything on, like, each different person has their own unique guns that you can have attachments for specifically, and then they have their set gadgets they can do. As you can see, like, the gadgets kind of vary, not just with attack and defend, with always having the same ones, because as you can see, he has, like, the smoke and the breach, and he has a breach and a grenade. And this person is, like, more defensive, so they're going to have such as, like, a barricade and barbed wire. So there are just like a whole lot of different things that you can do that make it insanely strategic, which is like the whole point. And those are like the aspects that I really like about it. Now, I'm going to get into probably what I would change a little bit, such as the primary thing, one-shot flippin' headshots are dumb. They infuriate me. I know that a bit of skill does go into headshots, such as aim at the head and you'll win the fight faster, so on and so forth. And that I don't have the best of skill, so most of the time I'm aiming more for the chest or potentially even like limbs instead of the face, knowing that that is not what I need to do, but I just don't have the accuracy as of right now, and so on and so forth to that degree. But there have been times where I've gone one-shot headshots completely on accident, or just things like that, where I'm just like spraying and praying, and I get a headshot. Like, it just happens to snag their head, and I'm just sitting there at my computer like, okay, I wasn't expecting to get that kill, but, you know, whatever floats your boat. There has been a few times where I've actually aimed for the head and got the headshot off of it, which I've even, like, said in, like, stream and on videos where it's like, okay, that's pretty reasonable. That one was okay. But then there's been plenty of times where I've gone accidental headshots, or people have gone accidental headshots on me, and I'm just, I find it so dumb. I guess to a degree I'm okay with it, such as like armor and speed. Like if you're a 3 speed person and you have no armor, such as like her, Ash. Okay, this is not going to help your head. A hat is not going to defend your head. But you know what is going to defend your head? If you happen to be, what's his face? Here. If you're Rook, okay, I already have him, so it's not going to pop in here. If you're Rook, this can defend against a headshot. This is bulletproof glass and a helmet for a reason. Like, there is a reason you are in this much armor. Now, yeah, I agree that maybe if someone like Glaz headshots you, okay. Like, he has a sniper rifle. That's kind of his point. Okay. But if I am a Rook and I get headshot, I'm just baffled by, like, at most, I would have a concussion. Because, like, when the bullet impacts on a helmet, it will dent the helmet, which will cause, like, the impact to still hit your head, which will probably either cause, like, maybe your skull will be cracked a little bit, potentially, not 100%, but probably, and then maybe you'll have a concussion. So, yeah, that's gonna hurt, but I'll still be able to keep going. Like, you'll still be able to keep fighting with that. It's gonna hurt, nonetheless, but still. And, like, same with, like, Tachanka. Like, you literally have a metal plate on your face. As I said before, yeah, it's going to have the impact and you're going to have a hell of a headache afterward, but nonetheless, you should survive it. And even with like 2-speed people, like I don't know if Bandit is. I'm not entirely sure, honestly. But like I can just go to any of these people, the SAS. All these people, like 2 armor, 2 speed. Even them, like, yeah, I see that they don't have a ton of armor on their head, so honestly, the bullet should probably get a headshot, especially on Sledge. But with, like, some of them, even with, like, the 2 armor people, I feel as if they should be at least able to take, like, 1 bullet to the head. Maybe, if you really want to get really specific, you can make it so that Sledge doesn't, because he doesn't have, like, any armor on his face, but all the other 3 do, something like that. Or you want to change armor, like, mix up armor to be varied depending on where the person, or, like, you have armor sets for each individual part of your body type deal, depending. So, someone like, we were just talking about Rook, will have like 3 armor throughout his entire body, but someone like the guy I was just talking about, Sledge, will have 1 armor on his face, 3 armor chest, and like 2 armor for each of his legs, something like that. And then other people can like vary depending on whatever the heck they are, such as Twitch, who's also a 3 armor. We really don't think about it. Like, she'll have 1 armor for her face, but 3 armor on the rest of her body type deal, where the armor will vary depending on like, the parts of her body, of the individual's body. So, like, that's just something that I can think of to get rid of one-shot headshots, because I don't find them balanced in most of degrees. Now, yeah, I was saying, like, there is a bit of skill to it, but it leaves the variant of it being an accident or just happens to happen is what I don't like, because I'm a big person on, like, skill and mastery of that specific person, and like uniqueness too, which this game is definitely unique. So, like, that really bugs me, the fact that there's even a possibility of how I can do it on accident, and I win a gunfight even if I have much less skill, and it just happens to happen. Like, there's been times where I've gotten headshots with shotguns, and I was aiming at their chest, and, like, so on and so forth, and same with, like, weapon recoil, where I'm aiming at their chest, and then my weapon happens to go up to their face, getting a headshot. Or there's been times where I've been, like, literally aiming off to, like, the side of their body, and the recoil happens to send a fly bullet over to his face, and I get a kill. And I'm like, okay, I should have lost that gunfight, but, you know, balance reasons with headshots. So, when it comes to that's That's the number one change I would make. The second change I would make is something that will probably be argued, which even this I would probably put in a lot of like testing through maybe if they have like a PBE servers, then like I'd throw it into testing first, such as other classes will be able to use other guns, such as in this loadout I have the MP5, the P90, and the shotgun, the SG CQB, or yeah, CQB. I would maybe put in, those are like the weapons that you get for free. But then I'd maybe have like a store option where you can click on the store, and then with in-game points or maybe real money points, or like the real money currency in the game, you'd be able to buy weapons from other people. Like not just in your group, such as I'd be able to go to Chanka and buy this shotgun, or I'd be able to buy this submachine gun. Same with like pistols and grenades too, where you'd be able to, like, this is what I get for free. Let's see. No, I don't really know if I'd let ballistic shields through. Maybe. Because like then what's it's called? Defenders would be able to have shields. So I probably wouldn't let shields through, but things like this, like I'd let him, he has a smoke grenade and a breaching charge. Give him also he's an attacker, so also give him just a regular grenade and a flashbang, but not actually give it to him, make him buy it through the store type deal. And he has these 2 pistol options, but then maybe give him a few more after whatever the heck it's called, you have to buy it. Now this will, 1, increase profits because people will probably start spending money on the in-game currency just so they can buy other guns on different people, and 2, it will increase like what you can do with your money in game if you do make it like based off of money in game. That way people have something to work towards. Like I'm sorry that I keep referencing League in this, but like in League of Legends, most, like, unlike me, there's a lot of really good players that have so much blue essence just stacked up that they have absolutely nothing to do with, and except for wait for the next champion to come out. Where in this, it's kind of the same thing where you're just waiting for the next champion to come out, but even after that, you're still just stacking up money on money. So this will maybe give people something they can spend their money on and just have some fun with. Now, the reason I said this can be argued is because, 1, it does take a bit away from, like, this is your class, this is what you are restricted to type deal. But at the same time, I think it will vary play styles and games and make it a heck of a lot more unique. Well, I don't know about unique, just a heck of a lot more interactive, I guess. Because not usually when you see a champion, you think, okay, an operator, you think, okay, he has these 3 guns. I can see that he doesn't have a really bulky gun with like fuse, and he doesn't have a shield, so he has to have his light machine gun. So I know that I can win like a pure firefight if I just charge in, because it'll take him longer to load it, or not load it, to aim it, and then to proceed to fire. And because of that, like, bam, instant success. But in these type scenarios, then maybe you see that he has a smaller gun, but you're just like, huh, that's not in his set. He must have bought it, and then he has a submachine gun, and then you decide to do the firefight with him anyway, and then he actually gets the kill off of you because he has a submachine gun instead. Something like that. So I think that it would definitely be something that needs to be tinkered with a lot, such as I wouldn't really give every class the possibility of getting every single other gun. I would kind of vary the guns to an extent, such as what I was just talking about. Like, I would give maybe a few submachine guns to Fuse, but I wouldn't give him anything like insanely fast like an AUG or something along those lines, so he can't just bum rush people. So I don't think that anyone can be able to buy any gun, but at the same time I think it should be varied a bit more, so to the point where you can buy more weaponry from other classes that, like, maybe your favorite person is, I think I have actually this problem, like my favorite weapon is the MP7 from Bandit, but I prefer playing like Rook. So I would love to like get on Rook, and then instead of being able to use the MP9 or the MP5 or the P90, I kind of combined both the names. I'll be able to grab the MP7 and still use like the skins, because one of the big reasons it is still my favorite gun, but then I also have a skin for it, such as like it's the gold skin, and so I'd still be able to use that as well. And that's just like something that would definitely vary the game and make me happier as a player. But as I said, it could become potentially unbalanced. From, as I was saying, like Fuse being able to get like a submachine gun, and maybe he bum rushes your team while doing something else, while being a pretty tanky type deal. Now, as I was saying, this isn't like what needs to happen or anything like that. That would definitely need a whole lot of testing beforehand and tinkering. But I do think that it would be a nice change. What else? I really like their idea of like the daily challenges. Where is it? Here, the daily challenges to make more profit. I wish that more like groups did this. I like the idea behind it, and instead of just having like one daily win, you have to do all these different things, which I think is a good like really nice. I like how they're also experimenting with like the Outbreak. Now, I personally haven't really played it, even though I was looking really forward to it, and for whatever reason I decided, nah, let's not play it. So yeah, sorry about that. Because I did want to like actually stream it a little bit too and everything, but yeah. And I like how they're experimenting more in that end of like putting in other game modes besides just terrorist hunt and then fighting against other people, such as this Outbreak, which I would really like to see more of, like the Outbreak with I'm gonna call them zombies, even though they're sort of zombies, not really, but sort of. And I'd like to see them like continue with Outbreak in the future and do other special events like it. I kind of wish, though, that they gave like special Outbreak skins, not like these gold ones, because I know that these kind of are, but I mean like you look like you're in the Infected. You have like the spikes coming out of your back or something along those lines. Where you just kind of look fancier. Now, yeah, I can understand why they don't, because of like maybe hitbox reasons, such as you'd see the spikes on someone's back and you'd probably try to shoot at them, or like he's standing next to a doorway and he doesn't realize, but like the spikes are reaching in the doorway, so they know they're there, and he runs over and shoots them. So yeah, there would be a bit of a problem in like those degrees, but as a casual player, I wouldn't mind, and I'd still run the skin, and I'd probably just keep going. Now, I can see it be a problem like bigger degrees, and I can't understand how that would affect the gameplay, but still, like, yeah. And I understand that the game is still pretty serious in general, but I think that maybe adding in more comedy type skins would be just like a funny change, I guess. Like, give Bandit a clown skin. Something like that, where instead of just having all these headgear options, he actually has just like a pure like his face will be like all makeup for a clown. He'll have like a wig type thing on, something like that. Now, I can understand why that would have like maybe a negative review, because people are like, that's not how this game works type deal. Like, it's not supposed to be funny, and this is a serious thing. Like, these people are fighting each other, this blah blah blah, something like that. So as we're saying, like, I can see how it wouldn't really be that good of an option, but I can definitely see it being a funny thing that can happen that, yet again, as like a casual player who will probably enjoy. Now, I think that, yeah, maybe the diehards might not like it, and because of that, you might want to stray away from it or do it in very, very small amounts, just so that, like, the diehards don't get angry about it. But nonetheless, and I'm talking about, like, diehard fans when I say diehard. But nonetheless, I think it would still be kind of funny just to see it happen. Like, to have me be Bandit with a clown suit and then have someone run in and I just destroy them, or they destroy me. And then maybe make like a sound effect that when I die, it makes like a honking sound, as if they're honking a horn, or like when they do the honking of the nose thing. Something like that. That would definitely be very funny. Now, I already mentioned that I do like their daily system and so on and so forth. I'm fine with their multiplayer. The terrorist hunt is kind of insane. Sometimes you don't really think about how difficult it'd be, honestly. Like, sometimes you just get completely destroyed, other times you just destroy the bots. They're really not your average bots. But I'm fine with that, too. I like how they have, like, the situations to really teach you about some of the main people and all the things that they can do type deal. Honestly, I kind of wish I did the situations before I bought my first few people, but I just kind of bought them and ran into the game, so, you know. Yeah, interesting. And then the last few things that I'm going to say, so really only the changes I would make is gun options and remove one-shot headshots and varying armor. Now, what else is there? So the last thing that I was going to add aren't really things that I would change, is things that I would add, and they're not really like maps or anything specific like that, or like other zombies mode. It's like actual operators. So I've only thought of a few. It's kind of like what I was talking about with forever ago when I did the League, my thoughts, where I also had a full team of League that I was going to talk about too. Now, I don't have a ton, but I do have a few. Now, some of them will probably have people questioning a little bit, but the others might get like a actually pretty positive response. So the first one is a defender with a shield. Now you're probably thinking, wait a minute, what? Like Montagne or Blitz type deal. Well, they will have a actual shield as their primary weapon, and that shield will have like some sort of ability. Now, I'm honestly stealing this a little bit from whatever the heck it's called, Call of Duty, where what the shield's ability will be is you'll be able to slam it into the ground, and then whenever it'll also be combined with Mira's ability, where there will be something on like the shield that you can actually see through. You'll be able to melee or shoot that, and then the window will close down, and then you'll actually be able to shoot. Now, the problem is that when you do this, if you pick back up the shield, the window will still be down, so people will be able to shoot through it. But at the same time, you'll be able to shoot through it as well, so it'll still give you some cover, but, like, it won't be as good as it was before. And that's really what I have for that. Now, I understand it's basically like the barricades, the deployable shield, but you can actually like keep moving around. It's attached to your arm type deal. You'll be able to slam it down just like one, but you won't like pull it up to actually make it the height that it is. It'll just already be that height. And then I was saying you could just like crouch or like stand up fully and then just shoot over it, so you don't need to break the window. But it's still just like an option that you could have, or you could be beneath it and they don't see you there, because it'll be like mirrors exactly where it's like a one-way window, and then you'll be able to melee it and they don't notice you, and then you just, the second the door or the glass drops, you just shoot them. So it could definitely be some pretty good surprise attack. And the reason, I don't know why I fully want this to happen. I just don't like the fact that only the attackers have shields. I can understand that, yes, the defenders have deployable shields, but nonetheless, it's just something that I've been thinking about since the second I started playing the game. Like, why isn't there a defender with a shield? I would play that champion, or that operator, and there's, yep. And my friends always just kind of said, why do we need a defender with a shield? We have the deployable. And it's like, because... Give him impact grenades and, like, barbed wire. Don't give him an option of a deployable shield. Maybe he can buy one with the system that I just came up with, but that just kind of be redundant. And, yeah. So that's the first one that I thought of. The second one is a wee bit different. He's in a sense like IQ, but better and worse. So he will be able to lose his ability, not from running out of ammo, but from it dying. Now, this is a big thing where I said that people will probably have a bit of an issue, because when I talked about this with one of my friends, he actually said that a person like got interviewed by like a game review group, and he said that he would literally refuse not to play the game, but he'll just let the animal that I'm about to mention kill him instead of actually shooting it because he doesn't feel right doing it, such as adding in a canine unit. You would have an attack dog. Well, sort of. And this man actually said that he would let the canine kill him in any game over shooting it. Now, this kind of has been shown in previous games, such as, I was going to say Call of Duty earlier, where there's this kill streak of canines, and then in, like, the actual games, there's been a dog as your companion, and there was in, like, Modern Warfare 3, I think it was, and maybe before that, too, there was a time where they, like, the enemy would have dogs, and then they'd unleash them on you, and then you'd have to kill them. So, like, it's not something that's new, but it would be new to this game anyway. Where the canine would be... This would definitely be a bitch to program, because he has multiple functions. So, I forget the button it is, honestly, to use, like, your individual ability. Since I used the controller, I think it was, like, R1 or L1. And, I believe it was R1. Where you'd be able to mark an area of where your canine would run to. So if there's no areas marked, he'll just stand by your side. But if you hit R1 and you ping onto like a wall or just a general space, he'll run over to that area and just kind of stand there in like a guard mode so that if someone walks by, he'll jump on them and bite their arm. Now, while he's biting their arm, they'll have like a prompt to melee the dog, which will kill it. But before they get that prompt, they'll be stuck there, like in a stun type animation, where another player could just run over really fast if he's fast enough before the guy melees him and then shoots him. Or the guy could melee him and try to run away, and then you see him in time and then you shoot him. And then like the bite will only do like 20 damage or something like that, nothing major. Or maybe even like 10 or 15. So something that, yeah, you're gonna see it on your health bar, but it's not gonna be something that insane. Or you could actually ping a person, like you happen to see a defender, like looking at you type deal. You can ping him real fast, and then your dog will just charge. And if he doesn't notice the dog charging, then the dog can run over him and again bite his arm, or he could just do like an actual leap, like slash type thing, where he does slightly more damage, like 40 to like 35 to 40. But he doesn't get the stun, and then your dog can just be shot right away because he's standing there right next to the guy, and he'll still be trying to, like, bite him and everything and do more damage, but at the same time, if the guy has any reasonable reflexes, that probably won't happen because he'll just be able to kill the dog before he gets to him. Now, that's not the only part of him. So, this is where I'm saying there might be, like, a bit much to have on a single thing. But honestly, I don't consider the guard mode that big of a deal because I feel as if it won't be very utilized, because anyone who has good reflexes, as I was saying, and like can actually hear, because the dog will make like whining sounds and so on and so forth, they'll be able to hear it and they'll be able to shoot it before he like bites their arm and stuns them, or before he runs all the way over them and then either bites their arm or does the slash thing. But this is like the functions that I think will be most useful. Such as if you happen to like walk by a Kapkan trap and you don't notice it, your dog will start to like whine and like bark at the explosive. And then because of that, you'll like hear the barking and you'll just stop what you're doing and be like, okay, where is there an explosive? And then you'll check the door and you'll see the Kapkan trap. Or something along those lines where like an Ella bomb will be near you, or a Legion trap, and you'll be able, and the dog will start like barking and whining at you. And because of that, whatever the heck it's called, you'll realize that there's a trap around and to either not go that way or just to shoot the trap in general. Now, I did come up with like one more thing the dog will sort of do. Oh, and he'll also do this if you tell him to like go to a point and there's like a trap on the way there. He'll run to, like, not to the trap, but he'll run, and then once he like senses that the bomb's there, he'll just stop, so he won't actually get to the point where you told him, and then he'll start barking in the direction of the bomb so you can shoot it, and then he can proceed on his path. So he's definitely has a lot of functions, and as I was going to say, I did come up with like one more, such as he'll kind of lead you to the enemies in a sense, such as like if you actually follow the dog, because the dog he has to stay in a certain area around you, but he'll always start to go in a specific direction, and that will be like to the nearest enemy that he smells. He'll have like a radius around him of how far he can smell, but if he smells an enemy, then he'll always try to stay in the area closest to the enemy. And if you just keep following him, he can actually follow you, or he'll lead you straight to like where the closest enemy is to you. So like let's say they have a Caveira and she's sneaking up on you, and then you notice that your dog is behind you trying to run in that direction. You can aim in that direction, then Caveira pokes her head out and you shoot her instantly. Now that's where I actually cut that out originally and thought that like maybe it can still be added, but probably not, purely for the fact of it'd probably be a little overpowered because of Caveira. And because I was also thinking that like earlier, Caveira could be a great counter to him, because yes, he will defend his master, but if Caveira like stays at a distance and just shoots the dog with the pistol and then shoots you, or shoots you and then the dog, which would probably be the better option, because if I did come up with one more thing also, such as if you get downed by someone or die and the dog is still alive, the dog will just gun it straight to whoever killed you, no matter where they are. So if they shoot you, if they like spawn peek you, the dog will charge to the closest barricade, and he'll just kind of wait there. He won't be able to break any barricades, but if like your teammate breaks a barricade anywhere on the house, then the dog will autopath and just go straight to that person. Now obviously this will probably get him killed, because he'll run like into the building straight into like the entire enemy team and just die. But at the same time, like if you get shot at like point blank range from like a shotgun, and then the dog jumps over and slashes the dude, that's going to be like 30 to 40 damage. That just happened. Or it can just do the bite animation where he just chomps you, and then you'll be laying on the ground, and then you'll have the option of telling your teammates, hey, this guy's stunned right here, turn around really fast and shoot him, type deal. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. So if that happens and Caveira like headshots you, which shouldn't kill you, and then like the dog will start beaming for her, but then she'll be able to really quickly headshot the dog and then just keep on going with her day. So that's why I was thinking that like roamers would be a pretty big like disadvantage to him, because as I was saying, I don't really think that the dog should be able to sense them through walls type deal. And because of that, the dog really won't be any help to roamers, because they'll just kill you and then kill the dog, and you won't have anything to do it. He's really more of like a defensive thing, such as if you're about to get into a gunfight, you can either send him in or put him as someone behind you. That way, if someone's trying to flank you, the dog will realize. Or it's just like a walking trophy system where he will warn you if there are any traps around. Now I did come up with one more thing, but this one really goes against the entire dynamic of the game, and because of that, all my friends said it's no. So the last guy, and well, technically there's one more, but the last guy is, I don't have a name for any of them either. He would be, he's the definition of Soldier 76, or let's Call of Duty this bitch. Such as, his ability would be that he can akimbo his primary weapon, no matter what it is. So obviously he wouldn't be able to akimbo like LMGs, so he wouldn't even have the option to get one, and he'd have like, his options would be 2 SMGs and like a shotgun, and then other guns that he could maybe buy would maybe be 2 assault rifles, and then more SMGs type deal and shotguns. And like, but his base weapons would be 2 different SMGs and then 2 different shotguns. And he'd be able to akimbo his pistols too. Basically, he just goes akimbo, where he'll have like both his submachine guns. You wouldn't want to buy a scope, obviously, because It wouldn't matter. If anything, you just want to get like a laser sight silencer and just go for full hip fire. Like you wouldn't even want to get grips or anything like that. And then just charge in and gun down whoever the heck you're fighting. It's basically the number one point is just to gun people down. And he would obviously be an attacker. Oh, the K9 unit would also be an attacker as well. And someone that would counter him really hard would yet again be the shield defender that I already came up with. Or people like Capcan or what's-her-face, the Canadian... here. Frost, where anyone who'd slow him down, any trap person in general would really be a difficulty for him because his goal is to charge. He would obviously be a 3-speed person. And then his last thing would be, instead of when you hit circle, you know how in this game you just kind of lay on the ground and you don't dash or anything like that, he would actually have a dolphin dive or a dash. Like, he would slide on the ground, or he'd dolphin dive into the next area that, like, he's aimed in. So, as I was saying, he kind of defies the dynamic of the game, which is, you know, generally slow-moving, check all your corners, be very careful, and he's like, balls to the wall, let's kill these bitches. That is his goal. And then the last defender that I came up with, oh, and he would be a person that you'd be able to one-shot headshot, by the way, because as I was saying, he is a 3-speed, 1 defense type person, so yeah. And then the last person I came up with would be a 3-armor, 1-speed person, can't one-shot headshot, you know, with what I was saying, where he has his primary weapon and his secondary weapon. He will only have his one gun, is a minigun. So I'm talking like Death Machine or full-on minigun type deal where his main goal, he'll have like 1,000 rounds and he'll just be able to completely disintegrate whatever the heck is in front of him, but it will take him a second because, you know, like a minigun needs to warm up for a second. The reason he'd be a defender is just so we don't give him an attacker this, and he just aims at the nearest barricaded wall and goes, this is gone now. And so, like, he won't be able to just aim at a wall in general and just shoot the heck out of the wall, being like, okay, there's no enemies in this room, from being able to wallbang. And we'll also give it to defenders just so that, like, if the attackers try to stick in a group and they have, like, a Montagne and a Blitz in, like, one group and they're just trying to stick together, he'll just be able to mow them all down, being able to shoot more rounds faster than anyone else in the game. So now, like, a big counter to him would, as I was saying earlier, be the guy I just came up with, such as, like, the run and gun type guy, the people that can outrun his bullets, like, just run so fast to get into other rooms to the point where he can't keep shooting, and people that can just charge him and shoot him at like, in that small time period that his gun needs to ready up. Such as that, and then maybe even shield people, such as, like, Fuse, Blitz, and Montagne, who will just be able to stand there and block all the shots, but then maybe, you know, if he shoots enough, he'll be able to, like, aim, and, like, with Blitz anyway, Montagne, he wouldn't be able to do this, but Blitz, he'd be able to, like, shoot around, shoot at the feet type deal, and same with Fuse, to actually kill him, so those wouldn't really be that big of a counter. But then, you know, like, when he runs out of ammo, he's basically done. So as I'm saying, it would also take his secondary slot, but, like, maybe he would also get a pistol, but it would just be, like, a regular old pistol. Obviously, yeah, he'd be able to, like, buy other pistols with the system I came up with. And then the options he'd be able to get are obviously a barricade and wire trap. And then, like, we could give him the C4 option as he could buy it, so on and so forth. And same with, like, the impact grenade. And basically, if you have him and Tachanka, you are not getting into the room, because they will gun you down faster than you can say anything at all. Like, you'll charge in the room dead. If it's not Tachanka shooting at you, it's the minigun, so you're gonna die. Oh, and like those will be his 2 weapons, like how each person has their like 3 or 2 weapons of their loadout. His will be full-on minigun and death machine from Call of Duty with like the 3 different rudders, or 3 different. I can't think of the name of stock. Pipes, whatever. The front bit of the gun shows you how much I know. And obviously, like, the Death Machine one will have a faster spin cycle and faster shooting speed, but will have a lot less damage. And both of them will have very low mobility, but, like, that one will have, like, the Death Machine type one will have a faster speed, faster fire rate, less damage, less capacity, like magazine, and more mobility. But the full-on minigun will have more damage, slower speed, higher capacity, lower mobility, and slightly lower fire rate. So it will really be up to like the player of what he wants to get. Now, attachments-wise, I have no idea. I have no idea what I'd get on attachment-wise. Maybe you can extend the magazine, get a laser sight potentially. You can't get a scope, that's for sure. And then maybe even we could throw in a weapon that he could buy is something like the saw, or the chainsaw, whatever the heck you want to call it, from, yet again, Call of Duty. Where it's like the weapon that you don't actually aim, you kind of hold it like you would a chainsaw, and you shoot it from your hip. And then, like, so something like that could also potentially be a primary weapon for him. But yet again, I kind of want to keep it the minigun-esque feel, so maybe not. Probably not. And yeah, those are the 4 different classes that I actually came up with. They're operators, 2 defenders, 2 attackers. As I was saying, I didn't have that many, but I guess that technically would be, not like a team, but it would be like one of the starting groups, such as, like these starting operators all have like 4, so, and yeah. Now, I think that, yeah, each one has, I haven't fully thought out of every single option, such as that I think that like Rainbow Six Siege does actually do, where they fully think out of how every single person will play against each other and so on and so forth, but I have thought a good amount about who they'll fight against and so on and so forth. And I think that, you know, especially with the headshot changes, that the game would probably be more enjoyable for like the casual player, which is like my primary focus, and even the long-term players too. But I think the long-term players will definitely dislike my ideas a lot more than the short-term player, or not short-term players, it's just like casual players. Now, I do think that you should always try to like do the best of both worlds and help the casual players and help the long-term players. But I do think that you should yet again help both and not prioritize one or the other. So I think that the changes I was talking about, like if the long-term players like generally have a negative response, I don't think that they should exactly do them, but I don't think they should not do them just because of that reason alone. If like they actually like put them into like a PvE type situation, and then these players played them and was like, no, I don't like it because of the such and such. As I was saying, like none of this needs to happen, but I would definitely would not mind, especially out of everything, the one-shot headshot being taken away, or like the armor changes I was talking about. So thank you all very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. If you agreed with anything that I had to say, please leave a comment. If you, anything at all. If you have your own operator ideas, please like leave a comment again, like saying them. I'll be glad to like kind of critique them, and so on and so forth. If you have critiques about anything that I have said, you know, please leave a comment. If you happen to be one of the devs at Rainbow Six Siege, and or you know them, please inform them of this video, and of me. I would love to talk with them about like why I think these things and so on and so forth, and like even potentially like work with them in the future. Now, obviously, that's probably not going to happen, but nonetheless, I'm still holding out hope. So thank you all very much for watching. I hope to see you all next time, and I'm going to bid you all adieu. Goodbye.